Hello and welcome to the Wednesday podcast live on This Is Ibrox. I'm your host, Kyle McLean, and as always, I'm joined by two fantastic guests. Firstly, it's Kyran Wallace. How are you doing today, Kyran?
I'm good. I kept getting lumbered in the Sunday nights with Tommy and Craig, mate, but it's absolutely brilliant to be back with yourself. So it feels like it's been a while on a Wednesday. No offence to Tommy and Craig, but take as much offence if you want, because they'd get stuff.
I know, Kyran just coming out, Tommy gunning everybody down there at the start of the podcast, and you can tell that even though it's there's not really much happening on the field at Rangers, there's certainly a lot happening off it. So, but yeah, my next guest as well, Craig Hughes. How are you today, Shug? How have you been getting on?
Yeah, all good. It was nice not having any stress or anything at the weekend and watching Rangers for a change. So, but like us all, now looking forward to next season and just want to kind of fall asleep and wake up in the summer and get ready for next season.
Oh, that's it. And I know, as you said there, Kyran, it's like the two years have been banished to the gulags on the Sunday podcast. Now you're back on the Wednesday podcast. We've normally got a game to talk about.
Banished being the word. Almost cancelled, I think, maybe.
That's it there. But listen, as always in the wonderful world of Rangers, there's plenty to talk about. Firstly, we will have a look at Rangers. Looks like they've got their new mat. It's virtually been confirmed everywhere. I think I've seen about 15 minutes before I came on, Jordan Campbell confirming it for The Athletic that Rangers have got their man for the sporting directing role in Kevin Thelwell. We'll get the guy's thoughts on him, what he can do for Rangers. We'll get the guy's thoughts on who should be playing for Rangers in the sort of final 5 games of this season. We know there are a few dead rubbers in there. And yes, cue the comments for people coming in saying there's no such thing as a meaningless Old Firm game. I totally get that, but there's nothing to play for at the end of the season. We'll get a wee chat around Bailey Rice as he looks poised to sign a new contract. If there's anything comes out from the fans forum, we'll discuss that. We kit leak. Away kit leak, which I'm be interested to get everybody's thoughts on this away kit, and then we'll get a wee look ahead to St Mirren. But Kyran, firstly, before we get into everything, last night it was the news breaking that Rangers' new sporting director basically seems to be confirmed. But the question I want to ask you first, before we get into that, is how important is it that Rangers are actually appointing the sporting director before the manager this time? It just seems like, I don't know, there's a bit of breaking news before we come on. I'm sure we'll, literally just before we come on, I know we'll talk about that, but it just seems like things are heading in a direction that seems to make sense to me.
It's almost like that's a foreign language to us at Rangers, Kyle, that we're actually doing things right for a change. To be honest, I don't know the full role what the sporting director does or what he'll oversee or what he'll do at Rangers, but picking up on the sort of tweets that maybe everybody else has seen, that the Everton fans giving an opinion on him, like they knew he was leaving it, or am I right in saying he's not quite left yet? It'll be the end of the season he departs there.
Yeah, end of the season.
And trying to pull it all together, like it was a mixed bag. We're mostly positive. The good thing was saying that the players that came in under his remit at Everton were mostly good, more hits than misses. So you look at our transfer windows the past few seasons and there've just been more misses than hits. Also, I sort of put together that you look at Everton as a club before he came in, point deductions through FFP, just real bad management, bad ownership. Like he walked into a sinking ship and he's leaving with it better off. I think that's probably the best thing that you could say to him that qualifies him best for this job. Now, we don't know if he's very good at his job. We don't know if he's very bad at his job. But what we do know is, going by the opinions of Everton and where he is at the moment, it seems pretty positive and it seems a good fit. And you look back at his CV a wee bit further, that New York Red Bulls, I'm right in saying that he worked under a sporting director there, so you can see the link there to the worst kept secret in all of football that will be taken over by a consortium that's linked with Red Bull, basically. You also look at what he done at Wolves. right in saying he brought in the manager there. A lot of good signings, guys like Neto, Diego Jota, like real good sort of crop of players there that was sold on for big money. And that's the other thing I read as well. The balance sheet is very, very good under this guy. He's sold on players for good prices and brought in players at bargains. Like it's almost like it ticks every box. Now, I don't want to completely jump on board with this guy's going to be the next coming of, I don't know, Florentino
Ross
Perez.
Wilson.
Yes, oh God, that name else. So it can only be good. It can only be good in terms of bringing in a sporting director before the manager. Absolutely makes sense. It's got to make sense. But what I do think, I feel the manager might already have been chosen. I think the Gerrard links just seem a bit strong. Like going by what we've read online the past few days, things just seem a bit strong in the Gerrard direction.
They've just never seemed to go away, haven't they? Not, but we can get into all that a wee bit later, because I know obviously with Kevin Thelwell being linked, that there's a whole host of managers that are now being linked with Rangers as well. But Craig, I'll come to you in this sort of next part here. Kieran's already given us a wee bit of his history and how he made his way in football, but like there's just some interesting bits here. He got his break by becoming the director of coach at the Football Association Wales, and I was watching the interview that GB posted in our group chat earlier on, which I thought was dead interesting. I had no idea. So he actually took the pro license coach in Wales and worked with, I think he actually gave Martinez his coach UEFA coaching badge. He then moved to director of youth at Preston North End. Then he moved to head of academy at Derby. Then he moved to Wolves. That's where he seems to have got his break. You know, he's head of academy, but he worked his way up through the ranks to the sporting director, helped the club achieve promotion there. Then he was head of sport at New York Red Bulls, where he oversaw all aspects of the club. Then he basically did that same job at Everton, where he's been there since 2022. And as Kyran sort of alluded to, he's leaving the director of football role just because Everton have been brought in a bit similar to ourselves, bought over by a US consortium, and they're basically looking to put in their own guys in. Just a couple of the things he's done at Everton, you know, they've had the PSR rules, you know, the financial fair play stuff, where, you know, he dealt with not getting the points deduction, making a profit the next year. I think the figures on it were there's 226 million total in profit. That he's brought in transfers, but he's only spent 145 million. Basically, sorry, Craig, this is not like it's been before. Rangers have recruited from within the club. Dare I say it, but this guy seems to maybe know what he's doing, which sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, 100%. I think his CV looks good, and you know, he's obviously done different roles at clubs, which always, I think, looks good, rather than somebody that's got one opportunity and then moved on to another club and they've maybe not got the experience. He's done different roles, so he knows, you know, how different aspects of clubs work in different areas. And I think a big part is that he's familiar with a big British club. And I think the British market, I know we operate in a different market from the Premier League, there's no doubt about that, and different figures. But to know what British football's all about and to have that kind of ground, and I think is so important right now for us. Again, a big part, you touched on it, bringing in transfer fees compared to spending it. As much as we will be, you know, as much as we'll have back in here, there's no way we're going to look to spend more than we bring in over a long period of time. The job will be to bring in players at a level, sell them on for a higher profit, and that's going to be a big part of our business model. So you can see where the lure is there. But no, I think it looks a smart appointment. I think we'll judge when we see. But I think for me, it's more about that we now seem to have a bit more of a structure. It doesn't seem just relied on, you know, this isn't going to just, this full success, this regime's not going to be just down to one guy that gets appointed. It seems as if they've got more of a structure, as we'll bring in this guy here, and the project's all going to come together. So it's given me more of an idea that things are moving in the right direction, smart appointments are being made, and more important, we've got leaders ahead of a season rather than having to scramble about during the season and pick up who's available. It just seems as if we're now on the front foot and there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Can I just add to that what Shug said there about the sort of staff structure coming together? let's think back to August at the start of the season. We had lost a CEO, we lost a chairman, we lost the director of the academy, we lost the director of performance. Like, we were a shit show. Like, we didn't have a director of football as well. We were all over the place. And what we wanted was things to be in place going into next season. And that looks like we're moving in that direction. Like you said, Shug, we're not scrambling about. How long did it take us to find a CEO? And you remember John Gilligan stepping in, and what was it, just after Christmas that Patrick Stewart came in, 15th of December, and that was from August. We're now actually doing things like a proper football club. Like, we don't know if these guys are the right personnel. The jury will be out on them.
Yeah.
Got to say that. But we're doing things properly.
I think it's interesting, the challenges, as we touched on, he's had at Everton. He's coming into Rangers, and there's always going to be, no matter how well we run, it's always going to be high pressure. There's always going to be challenges. You are playing in Scottish football. There is, expectations. So I think the way he's dealt with that, and the way it looks at Everton is a positive. As you said, we've made judgments early. Far too often in the past. It's all about how it looks. Further down the line.
Yeah, but that's it exactly. And Kyran, I'll come to you here for us the next sort of question here that I had in my head about this whole thing. But it's one thing that was really clear from listening to him and from basically other people speaking about him in the game is this guy has got a lot of connections, especially within Premier League and abroad. And I think it was yourself, you've put that wee article in there that it was linking Andy Mason, a Dubai-based finance expert that might be coming in. And I saw another thing here, Gareth Prosser, who's the academy director at Everton. It looks like just because the new consortium's coming in at Everton, they want to get their own stamp of things. It looks like he'll be I'll be stunned if he doesn't come up to Rangers. But I mean, how important is this guy going to be in terms of recruitment, in terms and other aspects of the club? And Matt Weir, I think it was yourself that started this, said Thelwell has been confirmed at the fans forum. So yeah, we now officially have a new director of football, or sporting director. I wonder what it'll be called. But yeah, how important is connections, basically?
Oh, absolutely. You've seen it with the sort of previous structures. Now, I look back to the successful ones in terms of Mark Allen working closely with Gerrard and his connections to, say, Man City, Liverpool's academy and stuff like that. We started to see folk like Ryan Kent and really seen what he could do for us, and had a very good time at Rangers, although people might debate that. Having guys in football with connections is extremely important. I think it goes back to our previous point where we spoke about like a guy that's worked in the role coming in to do the role that we're set out to do. Not like, and no offence, I think he done very well, but when James Bisgrove came in, his background was in marketing, and everything was marketing. And then when he took up on a similar role, or what I see would be a similar role at Ibrox, there was some frustrations there at how he wanted the direction of the club to go. So it's really good that we're getting our house in order. Like, for too long we've spoke about them across the city, and if only we could do this and we could do that, and this happens to them. And for me, it was always about, no, we really need to get our own house in order, and it looks like we're moving in that direction. So once we can get that sort of background stuff sorted off the field, I think I know the most important thing has to be how we sign players and what players we sign. We need an identity.
Yeah, that's it. But I was going to say, Shug, I'll come to you in this one, but does this not make it even more frustrating than because I feel like as Rangers supporters, we've been at this point where we've been like, this is what needs to happen for like 2 years. It's so frustrating that it's taken this long to happen, but I am glad that it is happening, and this was the key appointment for me out of everybody. I know people are talking about managers and stuff like that coming in and that, and I agree, a manager is a very, very important person at a football club, but a sporting director, I mean, they're the key to everything. They oversee everything. They have a say in everything. So, but what I was going to get at, Shug, was just, I was looking at some of the players that he was apparently integral in bringing in, looking at some of the players like at Wolves, and by the way, it got me a bit excited because I'm looking at some of these players and you're going like Ruben Neves and Diego Jota, Traore, Raul Jimenez, Liana, Dendoncker, Connor Cody, Willie Bolly, who I had to get in there, by the way, because I absolutely loved Willie Bolly when he was playing for Wolves. And then you look at some of the players that he signed in there, or had a hand in signing at Everton, James Tarkowski, Amadou Anana, who anytime I mention his name just always makes me think of that when the English journalist was saying to him and he turned perfect to like a pure London accent. I absolutely love that. Dwight McNeil, Ashley Young. I know JB put that list of players in there yesterday as well that he's had a hand in. Beto Alcaraz, who I'm sure we were linked with at some point. But I mean, does this get you a bit excited that some of the guys he's brought in? And I'm not saying necessarily we're going to go out and spend 18 million quid in a Ruben Neves to effectively get his promotion as a marquee signing. But I mean, what sort of markets do you think we're now going to be looking in? And are you a bit excited?
Yeah, I'm a bit excited. I think it could be in a number of different markets. I think the main point of Rangers is looking everywhere, and different markets haven't been tapped as well. I think it's good that you're listing off those players, and it seems to be a range of nationalities and range of different players that are coming in there. So I think his network will be quite wide. I think it's different if he only worked in one league and he only, say worked in America only and it was all American players you were only being linked with, something like that. I think he's got probably a wide range of contacts. So I don't want to guess at the type of players that'll show up at the door next, but I'd imagine the search will be pretty wide. And I think some of the work that we've done will continue in terms of, markets we've been getting success in. Morocco seemed to be one we were trying to tap into in that way. So I think there will still be those kind of searches going on there, but I think his experience will just kind of widen the search.
Yeah, so what I'm reading into that is we're going to sign another 10 Hamza Egermans. Is that what you're telling me? Get it there with you. I know, this is Ibrox. Shug, I'll stick with you here as well. This was the kind of sort of news that broke just before we came on, and it was through Sky Sports, and I'll read exactly what Sky have quoted Rangers is saying, and it's Rangers and its existing controlling shareholders are in productive conversations with the two lead members of the consortium, Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers Enterprise Global Football. And just every time I mention an NFL team in this podcast, I just see the two of your faces glowing on it. But the potential consortium acquire control of the club and inject additional capital. These discussions reflect a shared recognition of the importance of Rangers FC's long-term direction, ambitions, and management. Again, how exciting is this? Because this is the first. I mean, despite what some experts from the East End of Glasgow have been tuning in and saying it's not happening and things like that. I mean, this to me is like the first sort of tangible acceptance that this is close. That's how excited Shug is, that he's nearly fallen over excited.
No, I think it's now starting to feel real. Before it was always, we knew it was coming. There was no comments coming out. It was very, very quiet. Now they're starting to drip feed us with bits of info, and it seems to be speeding up and feeling a lot more real. But it is exciting, and it's exciting that it seems to be that they, recognise and are trying to get I feel like they're trying to get the positive stories out nice and early, so that when this ownership does hit, it's this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And we all straight away we're on board with it. So I think now starting to get the right noises out. I don't know about you, but even right up to it's signed, I'll always be nervous that something's going to fall through. But now it's starting to feel like I can relax a wee bit. This looks as if it's, definitely happening, and it's over the initial stages, and it's pretty much there. These sort of noises don't come out when it's still speculative at all. So it's exciting times. I'm just, I'm really excited for the appointments to start and the kind of announcement of the ownership.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're all just waiting for it, aren't we? And I said, and it seems to know a lot of things are happening. Glad the Farms Forum are happening tonight, and it's it's good that there's bits and bobs like this coming out. It's not a coincidence, obviously, that the Fans Forum's happening tonight and they're releasing things like that through Sky Sports. So I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I don't want to say Rangers have been a bit shambolic the past few years, but maybe that is the word. Just as I don't know, things have just been difficult. There's not been a structure coming out, but there now seems to be an infrastructure in place. And I'm now going, right, that makes sense. This makes sense as to why we're doing that. You know, a bit of capital, which always sounds good as well. Kyran, how do you react to the news in that statement that it looks like our new chairman, Andrew Kavanagh's talking about looking to raise capital for the club? Does this get you excited for the summer and things to come?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the thing that gets me with this group is that it's not like they've not done this before, and it's not like they're coming in with a blank canvas and we're like, right, this could be another group of charlatans. They've literally went down and they've worked well with Leeds. They've just been promoted, and congrats to any Leeds fans that might be tuning in to the Premier League for next year. This only bodes well for these guys that are coming in, and it just feels like we're going to get run like a decent football club again, the way it should be. Now, all this really doesn't matter if we don't start to see wins on the pitch and trophies in the cabinet. So it's the first step in the right direction, and yeah, it's definitely getting me excited in terms of it has been, like you said, kind of shambolic the past few years. We've just not had any real direction whatsoever, at least since '55. So yeah, I can't wait. I think, like everybody, I've been looking forward to the season being over and looking forward to next season already, and that's been the case for the past few years. At least this time, there's something to hold on to, and you're right. It's very coincidental that all these things start to come out last night and today, right before the fans forum, because God forbid they told the fans first.
I know it's just nice to see Rangers having a sort of coordinated effort where everybody's in the same page about something, and I think that's what this board, a new regime, will hopefully bring in. But Robert Binney here, where we comment, he says, let's get our house in order ASAP and make a real fight of it from the start of next season. Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how it goes. And I'll stick with you, Kyran, here, because it'd be remiss of me not to ask, because all the Leeds chat and all this sort of stuff, but it's I couldn't believe it, but there was links with Daniel Farke to possibly Rangers in terms of Leeds apparently considering letting him go because of his previous Premiership record, which I would find utterly bizarre, right? But just in the off chance, is Daniel Farke a guy you would take at Rangers?
Yeah, I think he's a good manager. He's been linked with us before. Am I right in saying that we were linked with him before Clermont? He then went to Leeds, and that kind of just wrote him right out of that picture.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I think that was the case. And well seen who won out that one.
I know. Was he not too busy getting spied on when he was manager of Norwich at Bielsa at that time as well?
Probably,
I'm sure Farke was the manager, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. He's got a good record. I like him. He speaks very well. Fans like him. But yeah, that seems... it's funny giving praise to Leeds and then we come out with something like that they're looking to move him on now that they're up to the Premier League. It's like, is that the type of stuff we've got to expect? But yeah, on Robert's comments there as well, let's get a real fight for it at the start of the season. I think that's one thing that we're going to have to try and manage as best we can. Like, all this stuff's very exciting, but expectations are going to go through the roof with the fans, and let's be honest, our fans' expectations are never very low at the best of times or the worst of times, put it that way. So we all are very excited next season, but again, it's going to be difficult with such a turnover in players and trying to really mould a squad into going and challenging for everything. But it's the expectations at Rangers, isn't it?
Well, that's it. There's always expectations at Rangers. But just before we move on to the next wee part here for yourself, Shug, that's Rangers officially announcing that the quotes are already out from Kevin Thelwell, being the new sporting director. I'm just double checking it is. Yeah, he is definitely a sporting director, but he says, this is a huge honour for me to be joining a club the size and stature expectations of Rangers. From the first conversations, it was clear to me how ambitious the club is, and I'm really excited to play a part in shaping its next chapter. I know how much Rangers means to so many people. That brings both responsibility and motivation. Rangers need to win. That's the bottom line. And I think I'll just end it there because I already like the cut of this guy's jib. Shug, yeah, a fairly straightforward question for you for this next part of the pod here. We've got 5 games left until the end of the season. We've got St Mirren, Celtic, Aberdeen, Dundee United, and Hibs. I mean, they're all dead rubbers. There's nothing to play for. I mean, that's like 4 of the teams that I probably dislike most in the SPFL. Right there. We know there's no such thing as a meaningless old firm because I've been panned in the show for saying that in the past. But how would you like to see Barry Ferguson going about his business in these last 5 games when there is effectively nothing to play for other than pride?
I think what I want to see is just not the same team, the same regular start lineup. I want to see a few guys get a chance. I'd like to see Enciala get a little bit of run, so we'll see what he's got. He's looked a bit raw at times, but we've got nothing to gain from just sticking with the tried and test. I don't know if anybody else is fit, to be honest with you, but he has to get a chance. For me, you're probably looking at Bailey Rice. I think he probably becomes. I would probably have him in for, if not all of those games, the majority, to see how he does, and let's try and see how he gets on. Finlay Curtis as well, I think, done himself no harm as well. So I think from these games you want to see some encouraging performances, but ultimately I think we've all kind of checked it. It's not going to make us any happier seeing a couple of victories towards the end. We're still going to be like, why can't you do that when it counted? But at the very worst, I want to see us get a couple of results, but get a few of the young guys, get them a chance, and a couple of the fringe players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we go on to discuss some of the other players that are in there, I'll stick with you, Shug. Rangers look set to offer Bailey Rice a new contract. You talked about him a wee bit there. He's got 1 year left in his deal at Rangers. He's made a handful of appearances. I think it's 7 officially that he's made, which in my head, I was like, this guy's played like 20, 25 times for Rangers. He just seems to have been there for so long. His 2 most notable appearances this season, arguably against Man U, where all Rio Ferdinand was banging on about how he didn't look out of place. And I thought until he came off with that head injury against Bilbao, I thought he was really good. But yeah, this is a bit of a no-brainer getting a guy like this and extending his contract.
Yeah, 100%. First of all, I think that's the first bit of commentary Rio Ferdinand's ever had that I agree with, or don't get angry at. But no, I totally agree there. No, I think he showed a bit of potential. I think he's been thrown in at difficult times. I think, it's a no-brainer trying to keep guys like that who showed a bit of potential, rather than letting them walk out the door. I think, as I said, we'll see if he takes his opportunity over the next few games. I thought he was very unlucky against Bilbao. He's obviously got that injury when he was playing. He was thrown in. He was doing pretty well. But let's see him play the rest of the games. See how he does, and if he can really stake a claim that he's a proper first team option next year that we can trust. Because so often we've overlooked young guys and we've missed out on guys, not just at our own club. We've overlooked guys from other clubs that we could have picked up, young Scottish guys. Here we could have a guy with real potential. Give him a chance to end the season. We've got literally nothing to lose and nothing to gain really from playing, other guys that we already have seen enough of. So give him his chance, get him a new contract, and let's hope he can stake a real claim in what hopefully will be a much strengthened, squad next year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. But Kyran, I'll ask yourself a similar sort of question here. Bailey Rice, is this a type of guy that you would be, I don't want to say building the team around, because I don't want to put that much pressure on an 18-year-old already. But for me, certainly, it's just those 2 games with Man United, he didn't look out of place. He seems like he's got a really good pass on him. He seems to fit what Koppen said, about we need young Scottish talent in there. I mean, we've already got Barron in the midfield. We're bringing in Lyle Cameron in the summer as well. I don't want to quite go, but should Rangers be, looking to accommodate more? Because I'm assuming Raskin's off this summer. Is Bailey Rice just going to go in and kind of fill that Nico Raskin type role? What do you think?
Be honest, I don't think so. I see it from 2 sides. From the Rangers side, I'd love us to extend him. I see real potential there, like you say. When we've seen him in these big games and tough occasions, he's flourished. He's done really well, and he was hell of unlucky against Bilbao with that injury. It was a shame, but you can see the potential there. And wasn't it Barry Ferguson saying he's a wee bit behind in his development and where he thinks he should be? And I'm sure, was it Clement that quoted that he maybe doesn't do enough work off the ball, or it might have been Ferguson. I think that's true. I did get that impression when I watched it as well. So he's got a long way to go to develop. So that's where I maybe disagree that the team should be built round him. I do think he should be part of the team, but I don't think it should be built round him. I don't think he's at that level yet. The other side of the coin, I see it from, if you're Bailey Rice or any youth player that your contract's coming to an end at Rangers, right? Let's take the blue tinted specs off for a wee minute. Why on earth would you re-sign for Rangers as a youth player? Our track record of developing youth players has been appalling. When was the last proper youth player that went on to be a first-team regular and done proper things at Rangers? And you're Bailey Rice, right? So you've got to be sitting there saying, right, where's my opportunities coming for next year? We've already signed Lyle Cameron. Diamande and Raskin already in there are going to be the first names in the team sheet. And then we're probably going to strengthen there again. So how far down does that put him on the pecking order? If Rangers can't come up with a plan on how we develop Bailey Rice, then if I'm sitting there and I'm Bailey Rice, I'm not thinking about money. I'm thinking about, right, I'm a good player just now. How am I going to develop my career? I just do not know why any young player would stay on at us. Like, look at our academy. Our academy's a shambles. Again, though, this could all change. We're moving in a different direction. We've got a new structure coming in. Maybe this is one thing that could change. You touched on the guy for Everton there, Kyle. Maybe that's something that can be discussed, but there's no B team next year. I don't know, do we get reserve games that are like glorified friendlies again? Like, where would Bailey Rice develop here? Because if his season next year is anything like this year, and what do you say, 7 appearances, I don't think they were all this year as well, then I don't see why you would want to stay here at the moment.
Listen, it's really hard to disagree with what you said there. I mean, I think there is a big problem at Rangers. I think we have a lot of players, having seen the B team, and Ross McCausland, by the way, is the epitome of this for me. And that Aberdeen game just kind of summed it up. He's on the ball. We have loads of players that are good, know what to do, can pass a ball, but it's the off the ball stuff. It's just because at youth level that they have so much of the ball. I mean, even some of the games that we went to go and see, funnily enough, I think one of them was against Everton, and the best v best, and Rangers still had a lot of the ball, and it's the off the ball stuff that needs to change for me, and the academy somewhere that certainly needs to start. Like I said, there was a comment here, Steve G. And I wonder if it is the real Stevie G. Bailey Rice can easily be a good squad member next season. There will be a clear out and chances will be there for him. But and that's the thing. He has to be given chances. Mark Dowie here says in terms of the young players, his Rangers has to start young guys now, plus the boy Fraser at Livy. A couple of other players I want to talk about, and I'll go with you here, Shug, on this one, and it's Cortez. What have we just got to play Cortez until the end of the season just to give him a chance? Because I don't know. This just seems like a big red mark against Koppen's name in the Cortez signing bracket.
Yeah. I think if we can, I mean, he's not strung any games together really at all. So I think the chances of him starting every game and playing a lot of minutes from now at the end of the season, I'd be worried about him breaking down again, to be honest. I don't know whether you just go, you know what, we've spent that money, let's see what we can get out at the end of the season, but let's build for next and get him into a good pre-season. I don't know what his fitness levels are like just now. I don't know how he's been looking in training. I didn't think he looked great against Aberdeen, but again, he's not had a lot of football. We're all agreed that it isn't a good signing, right? I think we're all agreed that it's not worked out so far because of injury. If we're already committed to it, which by all accounts we are, do you just go, right, let's get him a little bit of game time at the end of the season. Don't overdo it because we don't want to set him back even further. and you come in pre-season and you either go out and loan or you're ready to maybe turn things around in the summer, I don't really see a value in running it with the ground in the last few games.
Kyle, you're on mute, mate.
To be fair, there's probably not too many people complaining about that.
Let's join that there.
Welcome back.
I know, just whack Spotify on or something like that. But we can't. It's a real confusing one, me, for Cortez, because it came in those first 5 games. That Hearts game, remember the Hearts game? We won 5-0, and we just went out and blitzed him, and he scored that goal that was like it reminded me like a Paul Scholes kind of touch, like, you know, when Alex Ferguson talked about that velvety touch when he just passed it into the net, and I was like, brilliant, we're going to get this guy, he's going to come in here, but he's having never had injury problems before, then gone on to have loads of injury problems. I mean, what would you do with him, Shug, next year? Would you maybe just underwrite a 4.3 million, because I think that's roughly what we paid for him, or would you persevere with him and have him sticking about the show?
I mean, I don't know if you've got much choice. I don't think you can go, right, 4.3 million, see you later. I think you've got to try and get something out of him. We've already committed to that, so you either try and get him out on loan, you try and sell him, but who's going to buy him for any amount of that when he's been out for a full season? I think personally you see how he is in pre-season and then you make a decision from there. If it is game times, they can go out and loan and they might, then hit a bit of form, he might come back, or he might then get sold on from there. But I'm not holding out much hope, to be honest with you, just because how bad the season has been. Maybe it has been really, really unlucky, and maybe he will come back and show that type of player he is. But I think it's difficult to say what you do with him just now, because I don't think they'll be prepared to just rip up a contract when you've just paid 4 million for him, or just about to pay 4 million for him.
Well, that's it. That's what Andrew Kavanagh's statement's on. It's about raising capital to underwrite the Cortez sale already. So there we go. That's my take on it. But Mark Doy here says, I would put him out on loan. And Steve G says they're about to sack Fark despite getting to the Prem. They will not wait for Cortez or anyone else. Like, I don't know, maybe we need that, a wee bit of ruthlessness over the next wee while. The next player, Kyran, here, I want to ask you about, and this for me, I know he's a bit rough, but Clinton Ciala, surely he has to start alongside John Souttar on that left-hand side of the defence for playing a back 4. Or if we're playing a free for the rest of the season. The Bilbao game where Barry, I mean, I don't want to go over it too much again, but he shifted Diomande to left back. He didn't bring in Ciala on. He brought Barron on. I think I'm still scratching my head over that decision. But to me, he proved to be good in that game. He didn't look rushed. I thought he actually played quite well. All things considering, what do you think about Ciala, and should he be starting every game from now to the end of the season?
Yeah, I think we've seen the good, bad and ugly with him so far. Like, he started off like a house on fire. The expectation from everyone that he spoke to around the club that he wasn't quite ready and he maybe wasn't up to what we thought when we signed him. He then comes in, has 2 or 3 superb performances from us, and then he had a wee dip. He then had 2 horror shows against St Mirren and Motherwell, was it? And then he was banished for a wee bit. He's come back, and I thought he'd done okay away to Aberdeen. And he done all right in the Bilbao game as well. So we know there's a need for development there, and you're not going to develop young guys without playing them. So this is an ideal opportunity to get these guys in, get them blooded, and you're playing against the best teams in the league when it comes to the top 6. So these are 5 good games that he could get under his belt and start to kick on a wee bit and try and stake his claim for something next season. I know folk are saying about Barry Ferguson should do the right thing and start looking towards next season. I don't really know if that's going to be the case, considering that it's very, very unlikely that Ferguson will be the manager here next season. But at least put your face in that shop window where you're going to give yourself a chance and you're going to have people talking about you that you should be part of it next year. I think that's the way these guys have got to be looking. And in terms of Ciala, we don't know if he's a long-term solution for us, but the only way we can find out is if he's playing games. So absolutely he should be playing. I was actually listening to a podcast today. It was the last few games under Gerrard. Gerrard's first season, and it was the game away to Kilmarnock, the whole famous bye-bye Rangers one, Steve Clarke. And it was talking about the squad that he put out that day, and he basically, the league was done by then. Like, there was nothing to play for, and they gave a lot of the kids a chance, and he sent a lot of the experienced players away for an early holiday and stuff like that. It feels exactly the same just now, and these are the type of games that we need to just be giving the youngsters the opportunities, and maybe giving the guys that were sitting on the fence. Like, I know it was hard to watch, but the team that started against Aberdeen, these are the guys that need to see the opportunities. That have they got a future at Rangers? Well, the next 5 games will tell for a lot of them.
Well, that's it exactly. A few of the comments coming in here. Robert Fisher says Barry has got to play him the last 5 matches. Simple. Steve G says Curtis especially will be given the 5 game, big potential in him. And the question that I want to come and ask you here, Shug, and that is the question, or if I can find the blank comment because it's just gone. Mark Doe here says Dessers should be benched. Egaman is the future, and I want to talk about this as well. Again, Dessers scored 23, 24 odd goals this season. I believe it was Patrick Caskey used to be on this podcast. He said I'd be sticking Egaman on everything: penalties, free kicks, the works. Surely in these last 5 games we have to, as what Mark says there, we have to put Dessers on the bench and we need to start Egaman and Danilo.
Yeah, I think again, Egaman he needs to lead the line. When he got a chance to do that, he caught a lot of attention and done very well. We need to get him more games up there. Felt he should have played there in the second leg against Bilbao. Kind of understood why he went with Dessers. Didn't agree with it, but kind of understood. But Egaman, has to play through the middle. We know. I was going to say we know what we're getting with Dessers, but we know sometimes what we're getting. We know, we know how crazy it's going to be with Dessers playing up there. Egaman, he's got real potential. You have to now give him a run in the team. Danilo, I didn't think covered himself in glory in Pataudry. I didn't think he showed. I know he's going to be rusty, and I've always kind of liked him, but he didn't really show enough kind of application and fighting and work rate in there for me. But that's not to say he should be written off either. You might as well, give him a bit of a chance in the season. But I slightly disagree with Kieran on the total squad for the Aberdeen game. That would give me a bit of a heart attack. I was going every game with that squad, to be honest. But I get the general point. You might as well give these guys a chance. But definitely Egaman up front for me.
But surely this is the time to do it. I mean, I think we are all but guaranteed second, aren't we? I think Hibs need to win every single one of their games and have a massive goal difference as well. But when are you going to play these guys? If not now, so I'd be all for it. Just chuck Curtis on, bring back all them in loan and get them up. Get your Feco back up for Exeter and get him on, man.
I'm sure as Pena and who was the other striker? Was it
Herrera?
I think they're still get in again.
Get them back, man. Get Joey Gardner up while we're at it as well, eh?
Bring Morsney back.
Ross, I'll see what he can give us to end the season.
If he's not, is he even still playing football? By the way, because see, whenever somebody says, "Oh, there was an injury-prone player or a player made of glass," it's Jordan Rossiter that I always just think of.
8 to 10 days. 8 to 10 days.
He is with Oldham. He's made 20 appearances this season.
20 appearances? To be fair, that's 20 more appearances than I thought that his knees would allow him.
In total for Rangers, he made 16 appearances.
But he did have that goal in the 5-5 game against Hibs, so there will always be that. God, I've totally lost my place where I'm at here. Oh yeah, this is what we're going to talk about. So we will officially. Well, I suppose we can officially announce it here. We've been given clearance to do so. But the kit for next year, Rangers will officially be leaving Castore. They will be moving over to Umbro. There was a wee sort. I don't want to call it. Would you call it a leak? This is the apparent away kit that's Rangers are meant to be having next year. Here's a wee photo up there for you. As I said, we can see that firstly it is Umbro. I think it's a bit of a throwback to. I know it's not a player that will go down mentioning on this podcast, but sort of Stevie Whittaker with the Umbro before. I'll come to you first here, Kyran. What do you make of the kit, and what do you make of the fact that we are now Umbro? And Steve B here says they've not left the store; they've just shifted us over to Umbro.
That's correct. I think they've acquired the brand of Umbro, so the Castore strips basically now will be branded as Umbro, because I think they've got a stronger brand than what they have within the football world. I'm led to believe. On that strip itself, I hate to be negative, but I think it's a shocker.
Yeah,
I don't know. Listen, I just felt the Umbro strips before were all shockers. I just didn't like them. I've really liked the Castore stuff. I don't like that at all. I don't know if it's just the way the picture's been taken. The official pictures might look a bit better, but yeah, I don't know. I can't see me dipping into my pocket to buy that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's got a bit of an underwhelming reaction. But Shug, I'll come to you. What do you make of the kit?
So I don't think it looks great, but what I'm going to say is I hate these leaks because I think they totally ruin the strip. So what you want to see is it announced where a kit, fits perfectly on a player, who's in good nick. Instead, what we see is, no offense to this guy, whoever it is, but you see it on a guy and it looks like a bag of washing. So it kind of takes away from the kit, if you know what I mean. So I'll wait to see the proper pictures and see what it looks like on there before making any judgment. But it's difficult to, I know how difficult they find it to control leaks because they can come from a number of different people. But this guy seems as if he's been quite public about his leaking. He's not afraid of losing his job.
No,
it looks like
fair.
The thing is completely creased. It looks like it's been lost in a drawer for a few months, and he's what?
I know. I just don't know how it's ended up, as you said, like looking so creased, because I assume he's just taken it out of a packet and put it on. See, initially when I first saw it, I actually thought it was, I don't know if any of you know the lead singer of Franz Ferdinand, Alex Mavropanos, I'm sure his name is. I was like, are Rangers, don't tell me we're going to get another AC/DC type branding here for Umbro, but it's going to be Franz Ferdinand in Rangers. But yeah, no, I thought it was, I don't know, the jury's still out. I don't know if I'm just a bit miserable in the old kits and stuff like that these days, but I didn't really like anything from this season. I was hoping to get something a bit different this season as well. But the thing for me is, do you know when we will like that kit? See if Rangers had won a trophy and that was the kit that they were wearing during that season. I'm pretty sure we would all like that kit a lot more. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that's officially confirmed. We are moving, or we've been shifted from Castore to Umbro next year. My only thing about it is, I don't know, the badge, is it embroidered or does that look like it's just sort of printed on? Because that's one thing I always hate, and I know the Rangers fans went off their nut the last time because the badges weren't embroidered on. A couple of comments here coming in. Dado Purcell's Blue Boots, he said Derby had that as a Turkish top, and Paul, not mincing his word, he says that top is rotten. But yeah, I think we'll move on to the sort of last bit of the podcast here, and I'll come to you, Kyran. Let me just get rid of that, and we'll sort of start off by discussing. We've got this game to play on Saturday. Obviously, we've not heard it, but I'm just looking for what you're sort of expecting, and give us a lineup if you can, Kyran.
Oh God, how long have we got? Same team that started against
10 minutes.
Shug. Let me think. Progress. That's what we want to see at the weekend. Progress, and a wee look ahead to next season. So let's see some of the youngsters playing. Let's see Igman start up front. Let's be honest. He's between him and Raskan, that's going to be our most profitable asset at the moment. So let's see Igman starting up front. Danilo. I want to see a wee bit more from Danilo. a lot of people have wrote him off, but I still think there's a player in there that could do well for us in the right system. Aside from that, there's guys that I don't really want to see. Tom Lawrence, I don't see the point in playing Tom. He's off at the end of the season. Who else? Barami. I think the ship sailed for him. I don't think he's done well enough this season. Like Shug said as well, like to see Cortez get a wee run. He's been very unfortunate with injuries. He's been unlucky. That happens in football. Like, it's just unlucky that we've been lumbered with a player that we now have to cough up a lot of money for, that we could be using elsewhere. Aside from that, probably I'd still be sticking with Liam Kelly in goals. I think he's done okay. What else would I like to see? Don't know, Maura Cherny. I'd still love to see Maura Cherny. I know it's still up for debate whether he's going to be here on next season or not, but let's see what kind of numbers we can rack up and try our best to keep him here for next season. But that's what I'm looking to see. Progress in a wee eye on next season. I see Reese mentioned in the comments as well, Bailey Rice. Like Shug said at the top of the show, I want to see Bailey Rice every minute of every game for the rest of the season. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, I'm with you a lot of that team there as well. And Shug, what about you? I've not heard from Reese in so long, right? And he's just hit out with one of the one-liners that you miss in it. Get wee Buzz Matty in the middle. Oh, I'm all for that, man.
The pod message,
Shug,
I must say. It's good to see him there.
Oh, so far, some of the stuff, man. Still one of the greatest takes at all times that Antonio Cholak was dug me. I'll take that to my grave, man. But Shug, listen, have you got a similar team line up there to Kyran?
Full squad. I think Pataudry prove I've not got the depth in there, but where I would be kind of getting the right mix is Kelly in goals. Probably go the back four: Tav, Suter, Enciala, and Yefty as poor as I think he's been defensively. I think you've got to kind of persist with him. Just now, not really got another option. Midfield, I'd probably go Rice, Raskin, and Diomande. And then your front three, where it's interesting, I'd want to see Cortez get a game. I think Cherny, you probably save him for the Old Firm. Let's be honest, you're playing your full strength in the Old Firm. You maybe play Curtis up there and Igaman leading the line. Is probably where I'd go with. Again, I wouldn't be against Danilo getting a chance, but that's probably the team I'd start with anyway. But as I say, you've got 5 games, Old Firm game. You're probably going to go strongest team and go for the result. The rest of the games you can kind of chop and change and get guys minutes, but that's probably what I'd go for.
Yeah, I'm with you both there. I've got Kelly, Tav, Suter, and Ciala, Jefty. I've put Barron and Rice in the middle, and up. I've gone for a sort of 4 up top, just with Cortez, Curtis, Danilo, and Igaman, just to kind of squeeze them all in there. But in saying it, St Mirren have done very well this season. Suppose somebody said that. I've totally forgotten his name. Robinson, the manager of St Mirren's, like the Sean Dyche of the Scottish football. But listen, there's just a couple of. I know that's kind of finished, but there's a wee couple of questions that came in here that I'm just going to chuck out to you both before we wrap it up. First one from Mark Doy here, and I'll go to you, Kieran, for this one. Don't know if Nathan Patterson will be good, as he's had bad injuries since he's moved to Everton, but Rangers rumoured to be looking at him on loan. Would you take Nathan Patterson back to Rangers on loan?
I think he'd be coming back a better player if he did. You've got to look at it across the board as well. Could this possibly be time up for Tav? I'd be surprised if it wasn't. It feels like he's maybe stayed a year or two too long. So someone like Nathan Patterson, given that he's now got Premier League experience, is of course unlucky with injuries. If it's a loan deal, then yeah, much better than a permanent right away. Like we spoke about Cortez at length in this podcast, and we wouldn't want to end up like that again. So you'd be looking for a successor to Tav, and let's be fair here, Nathan Patterson could fill the boots. He's a very, very good player, international player as well now, and he's a Rangers fan and he knows what it's about here, and he's won a league here. So I wouldn't be against it, absolutely not. It'd be a good signing if that was the case, but there's always going to be that link, given that it looks like we're going to get 2 members of staff from Everton coming in. He's already been here, etc. It's a wee bit of a lazy link. I'd be surprised, but we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, and Shug, the last question, I should have started it, but I can't actually find out where the question is as well. But I mean, do you think that the caliber of manager that we're going to be looking at now changes with Thelwell and coming in?
Not necessarily. I think the noises we're hearing, about Gerrard, I think it's already been, planned. I don't know that for certain, but I don't see anything drastically changing now that we've announced a, sporting director. I think there's been work going on behind the scenes on both sides for a while. So there will be a few names thrown into the mix, but I mean, I think it seems to be the noise is strong with Gerrard. We might be wrong on that, but I don't see it drastically changing now. I think it's all been part of a kind of bigger plan and bigger conversation.
Yeah, and to wrap up the pod there, Timothy Sharp here says, have we not just appointed the sporting director that was trying to get rid of Patterson? So that would be the most hilarious thing ever, that if he was trying to get rid of him at his previous club and we end up signing him on loan. But yeah, a couple of questions here. Steve G said, or a couple of comments, says it's Gerrard, Steinson's done all the hard work. And Paul McGorrigle says, on the manager, as long as it's not Dyche or Martin. A lot of people really, really not against Russell Martin, which I'm maybe not quite there yet. But yeah, listen, we have talked about so much on this pod. I feel like we've crammed loads in. Just want to say thank you to both my guests. So thank you so much, Kyran. Thank you so much, Shug. Even if you did fall over at one point when Thelwell was officially announced as the new sporting director. Thanks to everybody tuning in on the podcast. Thanks to all the comments. Really enjoyed interacting with you all. I'm sure there'll be a couple of things. I know we've got Ian over at the fans forum tonight, so there'll be a wee couple of things coming out on the socials for that. So just check it out. But thanks everybody. We'll be back at the weekend. Take care, and we'll see you all soon.